Ordinary People Doing Extraordinary Things. I'm your host, Walter Davis. And with me this evening, I have the pleasure to have Bill Evarts. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And Sue Evarts of Amigos de los Californios.
Correct.
Now, tell me what that is. What is Amigos de los Californios?
Amigos de los Californios is a nonprofit organization, and we take professional medical people to the central part of Baja, up in the mountains, and treat people for dental problems, medical problems, and optometric problems.
Wow. Now that's quite an accomplishment. That's going a long way to do a lot of good for people that are impoverished. But before we go there, tell me something about who's Bill, who's Sue, who are you?
Well, husband and wife. We're the co-founders. We started Amigos about 15 years ago. And it's kind of taken over our life during certain times of the year. And
now, is this your full-time job, or you have other things?
No, we're totally volunteers. This is something on the side. I'm a landscape photographer, and Sue works as a park ranger for the city of Escondido.
So how do you go from landscape photography and what?
Park ranger.
Park ranger to people who are taking medical services and supplies into Baja? How does that happen?
It's almost magic. When we started this, it was sort of an idea that came to us after a trip to Baja. As we were leaving, visiting a village called Santa Marta, a young man actually came out of the cactus and flagged us down and asked us if we had any aspirin because he had a toothache. And we looked up, and his jaw was literally swollen out like he had a tennis ball in his cheek with a rag wrapped around his head. And we thought, you need more than an aspirin. So we gave him a whole bottle of aspirin, and it really bothered us. So all the way home, we talked about what we could have done to help the guy. Our car was packed. We had deadlines to meet back in San Diego. So we couldn't take him with us to get him to a dentist. So it just sort of evolved from there.
Wow.
And we then started involving friends and professionals, and it grew from a group of 10 to where now we have 25 professionals that go with us.
And when you say professionals, you mean medical professionals?
We have doctors, medical doctors that go with us from both sides of the border. We have dentists. We have an oral surgeon that go with us, as well as the support staff.
Wow. And how do you get your materials? How do you get the medical and dental supplies to take with you?
We try and get as much donated as we can. Our physician, for example, in Tijuana, he collects samples all year long. And then his Rotary Club, they put it all in boxes and alphabetize it, and he has a whole custom trailer that he'll bring down and brings basically a whole pharmacy for us. Our dental supplies we get through a clinic in Solana Beach called St. Leo's, and they're very generous in helping us. They have a capacity to buy in bulk, and so we can get supplies through them, and various companies help us out with equipment and so forth. We scrounge wherever we can.
Wow. And you got a nice little logo I see here on your shirts for the organization as well. Now, how often do you find yourself taking trips down?
We go twice a year, once in the fall, and we do a small clinic. We'll generally, right now we're only taking dentists down. But in the spring we take our full staff, which are the doctors, the dentists, optometrists, and then our support team. And by our support team, that's mandatory because where we go is way up in the mountains, and the communities are very poor. and they don't have anything that they can supply us with. So we have 25 people who need 3 meals a day, so we have to take a full field kitchen. Our dentists have specialized equipment that they need, so we take enough for 4 operatories for dental units, plus lab technicians, autoclavers. We have one person that just takes care of logistics because the communities don't have electricity or running water. So we have to take generators to provide the electricity to run our dental units, and we have to have water purification to purify all the water that we drink and that we cook with.
Now, I just saw something on the news about the richest man in the world being in Mexico. What's your perception? Why is this? Why do we have this type of disparity in a country that has the richest man in the world?
That's probably a tough one to answer. I mean, but the separation between the haves and the have-nots is growing significantly down there, and the people we're dealing with are at the bottom of the pecking order and are at the end of the road. And
give me a synopsis. What do you see in terms of, you know, when you make an assessment? What's going on there in medical and dental situations in terms of the people that you're helping there?
It's getting better. The government does provide some services. They have doctors that'll come up maybe once every couple of weeks and come to the community for a couple hours. And we're very careful. We don't want to step on anybody's toes or bring our professionals in if they're existing services. But the people tell us, please come back, because maybe they'll come for 2 hours and they won't have any medications. And a lot of our patients live on remote ranches, and they come 4 to 6 hours by muleback to come see us. So we need to be there over a period of several days so they can get the word when we're there and can walk or ride their mules in and see the doctor. So it's not always convenient when the Mexican doctor's there, for example. So.
How do they know that you're coming? I mean, since, you know, they're so remote.
They have 2-meter radios.
They have what radio?
2-meter radios. All the ranches have them, and it's their grapevine. And they know when we're within a few hundred miles of the mountains, because somebody will see our cars go by and somebody will talk to somebody, and the word just gets around. It always surprises us.
What kind of reception do you get from the Mexican government in terms of support, and what's their demeanor towards you when you come down?
Well, they don't give us support for monetary or equipment, but they generally will work with service clubs that want to go down, as long as you go through all of the steps that they need, you know, like lists of equipment, lists of people that are going, our vehicles, when we're going, when we're coming back. And we go through about 3 inspections at the border, on the American side and on the Mexican side. And then when we come back, we have to go through an inspection again to make sure that we've brought all of our equipment back with us, that we're not leaving anything down there.
Leaving anything down there? What do you mean? What?
Generators.
They don't want you to leave generators down there?
No, if we did, we would need to pay an import tax on them. But by just taking them down and bringing them back, we don't have to pay an import tax.
Interesting. Now, we've all seen recently, you know, stories about violence in Mexico, the drug cartels, et cetera, et cetera. Has that had any type of impact on your ability to provide services?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're hoping that it never will, because we get that question a lot from people who are kind of afraid to travel in Mexico. But we've had no problem. We have a warm reception when we get there, and all the way down, wherever we stop, it's, oh, you're the dental group.
I see. So this grapevine of system distributes information about your arrival. So obviously, you know, being able to have an internet broadcast might be beneficial to you. Do people have access to the internet down there?
In one community, they're just beginning to get that. It's very rudimentary. The other community, there's no cell contact. There's nothing.
So, how did you choose the particular communities that you're working in? What was the criteria?
We've been going down there for a number of years before we started this. I've been taking photographs in the region and got to know a lot of the people and the families. The Sierra de San Francisco is world famous for its Aboriginal cave paintings. It's just there's 250 sites just in this one mountain range of these great murals of human figures and deer and sheep and so forth that are larger than life, painted in red and black. And people come from all over the world to see this. So to go there, you have to hire licensed guides, and you go in by mule and burro to go see these things. And so over the years, we developed friendships with a lot of the guides and their families that have taken us in, and just kind of fell in love with the country and the people, and decided to do the clinics there. And at one point we thought maybe we could move around to go to other communities, other places, and our dental staff felt that it was much better that we go back each year and see what kind of progress we're making, and keep up our educational efforts and so forth. And it was good that we did that, because we have limits as to how often we can go and how much we can do. And so our board decided it's better to do one thing right and go back and make things work, rather than trying to spread ourselves too thin and go all over the map.
I see. Now, obviously you feel like you're making a difference because you've been doing this for so long and you keep going back. When are you going to slow down? Or you think that you're going to just keep doing this forever? What's the deal?
Well, we're hoping that we can keep doing it for a long time. One of our volunteers stayed with us until he was nearly 95 years old. And he would go down and camp with us, because we camp. We have to take everything with us. Nothing is provided there. And he was camping with us until he was 95. I'm not sure that I'll make it that far. But we do have a board of directors that is looking toward the future and trying to bring in new people, new volunteers to keep this going, because the communities really do appreciate what we're doing.
How do you get your volunteers?
Well, wherever we can. Some of them are friends we've recruited. As Sue mentioned earlier, we have a support staff, so we need people that can just speak Spanish, for example.
Why did you guys give me that little sinister laugh when I asked that question? What do you do? You trick people? What happens?
Well,
No, I'm just kidding.
Took people of the first year, and then we thought, well, they'll never go again, because it's very tough. Like Sue said, we camp, and it's primitive conditions, and it's pretty tight quarters, and we tried this out, and we thought, well, it probably isn't going to happen again, and people were fighting to go back the next year. We've got staff members that have been with us since we started, and they will not give up their seats. So some people are friends that say speak Spanish. People can help in the kitchen and do odd jobs, that sort of thing. And then a lot of our dental staff comes out of St. Leo's Clinic and Solana Beach. They have a lot of volunteers there and a tradition of that. And so if we can get one person, they'll know somebody else and bring them along. It's just wherever we can.
They won't give up their seats, so there's a limit in the number of volunteers you can take down with you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How is that determined?
By what we can afford and how much space we have. We usually take about 8 vehicles, and we try and pay. Sometimes we have to rent extra vehicle, a van or something, and the cost of food and hotel rooms and everything starts adding up pretty quickly. So we got a very tight budget, and we have lots of people that say, "I'd love to go with you. I'll do anything," but we don't have that luxury. Everybody has to have a job.
It's a full-time job. Usually our staff is working from very early in the morning until late at night, and sometimes we've had people come in the middle of the night with emergencies. So we keep going. Our kitchen staff, I'm running the kitchen staff, and we're up in the morning making coffee at 6 in the morning, and we don't close the kitchen until about 11 at night.
Wow.
And that goes on for 2 weeks.
Now, are you feeding the community, people in the community, or just yourselves? What happens there?
Sometimes people from the community will come over and have meals with us. It used to be sort of everybody would come, and it was exhausting, the kitchen staff, because in the 2 weeks we were producing 900 to 1,000 meals in the 2 weeks, which was a major expense to bring that much food, because if we don't take it with us, we don't have it, because there's no grocery store within the community. There may be tiny little ones that will sell some potatoes and onions, but that's about it. But now most of the community waits for an invitation. So we're down to maybe 600 or 700 meals in 2 weeks' time.
That's pretty sad. So it must break your heart to, you know, not be able to help everyone.
Right.
Okay. And your funding sources. Are you able to tap into things like the combined federal campaign or other sources of funding?
Initially, we tried to do this ourselves, about 3 of us the first year, to underwrite it, and we realized that wasn't going to work. So we started hitting up our friends, and we're involved with a group of people who have been camping in Baja California for a number of years, and a lot of them have been to the mountains. And so we'd hit them up, and then colleagues that maybe have never been down there at all but wanted to help. And then a lot of service clubs, Rotary, Kiwanis, Optimus, different parts of San Diego and Tijuana have helped. And then we've got some grants for equipment over the years, some specific dental grants. And but we're always cutting it pretty close.
But you can always use more, obviously. So we want to put a call out to the public to learn more about Amigos de los Californios, and to become active and to contribute money, time, and just become more familiar with what you're doing. It seems like you have a wonderful mission, and you're doing a great job for a lot of people. Now, obviously, not obviously, but have you ever heard from people that say, well, you know, we have people right here in the United States that need help. Why don't you help them? Have you heard that? Has anyone ever said that to you?
Not in so many words, but that's a very good question. And there's no end of need on this planet. I mean, you can look in down your own block and see where somebody needs some help. But
Exactly.
It's just sort of worked out that this is, I wouldn't say where we've been called, but it's just a place that's close to our heart, and people appreciate our help, and we're able to do it. And I think we're making some good progress. That the children, their dental care is extraordinary right now. Most of the kids that we see year after year are cavity-free. They're brushing their teeth. We have second generation now. Some of our earliest patients, their children are coming, and their teeth are in good shape. And so we figure it doesn't always matter where you put the emphasis. We're just trying to do the best we can, and just so happens that's our turf down there. But
well, that's wonderful. You guys are doing a great job from what I can ascertain. What do you want to convey to the public? This is your opportunity to, you know, give a message to the public. What do you want to say to the public? What kind of message?
That Amigos de los Californios may not be helping people on this side of the border. We're helping people on the other side of the border. But that's the future of the world. There's niches here and all over in all different countries, and if people could get involved with doing things, borders are not limits. They need to be porous so that we can help them, they can help us. Because by helping the people down there, they have enriched our lives so much that we just love the people, and we could not do enough for them. If we could do more every year, we would be doing more.
Tell me about that. How have they enriched your lives?
By showing us almost unconditional love and acceptance. When we started 15 years ago, there was one person who came and just stood on the outskirts of our encampment and watched. And he was just not real sure about what we were doing. Some have been kind of frightened because other groups have come in and maybe would proselytize after they would do something nice for them and say, well, you have to listen to this or you have to do this to earn what we have given you. And we come in and we ask for nothing except water. We need water to operate, and the rest we bring.
How do you get the water?
The communities vary. There are wells and springs and so forth, and they'll fill these big, giant 500-gallon tanks and put it in the back of a pickup truck and bring it over to us. It just depends how much rain there's been that year and if the pump is working in the well that year. And we have to get kind of resourceful at times. And then the water that they do give us, which I'm sure is probably just fine, but we go ahead and treat it, filter it anyway. To make sure nobody gets sick.
That's a lot. So you carry some type of reverse osmosis filter? What do you do?
No, we used to use iodine for a number of years, and that worked fine, but it kind of leaves a bad taste. And now we're using these filters that backpackers use and so forth. It'll screen for giardia and all kinds of stuff, and it's just gravity feed, and it's just another
wow
part of the daily chore is filtering the water. You know.
Certainly phenomenal work. What else do you want to convey to the public? There's so much, I'm sure.
Well, I think for me it's as trite as it may be that you end up receiving more by giving than what you might expect. And the people we work with are very, very poor, and yet they're probably the friendliest, most hospitable, generous, I mean really generous people that I've ever encountered. And it's just to get involved as a volunteer and give of your time and do something that you have no expectation of getting a return for, and you just go in and say, these are my friends and I'm going to try and help. The rewards are immense, and I would encourage anybody to get involved in some kind of volunteer activity, just like what you all are doing here tonight, because our lives have been so enriched. And we have a joke about it, all for the want of an aspirin. If this guy hadn't stepped out of the bushes and wanted an aspirin, we wouldn't have met all the wonderful people that have changed our lives over the last 15 years. And
it's not only the people on the other side of the border that have enriched us, it's people on this side of the border too that go with us, that become our sponsors and our supporters, and they do everything that they can for us. One friend doesn't like to camp, but she is right with me when I'm going to the grocery store and buying mountains of groceries. If I need something at the last minute, she'll even do shopping on her own and get it down to us. On one of our trips, there were some equipment malfunctions. People on this side of the border got the proper equipment, took it across the border and put it on a bus in Tijuana, and it was delivered to us about 12 hours later. So our support team have become our friends, our patients have become our friends, and we just feel like that we've just got a whole network and a whole world of people that are behind us and helping us make this work.
Well, I'm certainly pleased to know about you and your organization, and I want to help you in any way that I can, and in terms of getting the word out and getting you more support to accomplish your mission. It's very important what you're doing, and we should have a lot more people like you that are pitching in and making a big difference in the world. It's a world community, and we have poverty growing in just unacceptable levels throughout the world. We have 32,000 children dying in this world every single day. And the average person in this world lives on less than $2 per day. And to me, that's just simply unacceptable to have so many people that just don't have hope. And people like you and your organization are intrinsic in terms of turning that tide back. And I'm very proud to know you. I hope you become part of the coalition and become part of our media network so that we can get more support for you and more support for our endeavors, because you fit in perfectly with what our mission statement entails. And I want to thank you very much for joining us this evening and coming out here.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to.
Thank you.
And so we're down to our last 2 minutes here. I want to make sure that you conveyed everything that you wanted to. Is there any last things you want to make sure the public knows about before we end the interview?
That if anyone wants to become one of our sponsors, we would be happy to tell them how they can help us continue.
Outstanding, outstanding. Please take a note of the telephone number that's going to appear at the end of the broadcast and the website. We encourage you to join the San Diego County Community Coalition. You can see the fine people that we have to interact with. And this is one of the classic stories that we try to tell on progress in San Diego and the rest of our shows, including Community Artists Connection, which comes on Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. and Elise Smith Cooper's show, Community Issues, A Tapestry of Concern, which comes on at 6 p.m. on Sundays, and Truth to Power, which comes on at 11 o'clock on Wednesdays. These are the types of stories that we try to highlight, positive stories of people that are doing outstanding things within our community. We don't have to rely upon the everyday media to tell our stories, because we are the stories and we are our media. We encourage you to come aboard our internet broadcasts and become active with us. They are interactive. You can ask questions of us while we're on there. We just started a new Blog Talk radio station for the San Diego County Community Coalition. And currently we have 10 internet channels that we're broadcasting around the world out to 100,000 people. Again, I want to thank you, and I appreciate you coming aboard and watching our show. My name is Walter Davis, and I'm your host. Please join us next week and become part of the San Diego County Community Coalition in our efforts to fight for social justice and fight against poverty and for symbiotic environmental stewardship. Those are our missions. And we have everyday people volunteering right here today, being part of our studio broadcast. And you're welcome to join us and learn the art of television broadcast. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful deal.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I will send you a link to